Hi, we're doing this in English, I'm told, as well. If anyone wants any translation or have any questions, feel free to ask. My name is Gustav Svanborg. I work for the city of Malmö, and my title is skateboarding coordinator. I work with skateboarding related issues for the city. And the role that I have has grown out of a long relationship between the skateboarders of Malmö and the city of Malmö. And today, the skateboarders are primarily represented by Bryggeriet, who is the Skateboard Association of Malmö. It's a strong organization with about 3,000 to 4,000 members. The city of Malmö, for which I work under the Streets and Parks Department, we support Bryggeriet and other skateboard initiatives through building skate parks, through financing events, and also a series of other activities, which we're going to get into in a minute. And Skate Malmö, that's a brand that we've created in order to signify how all the different activities that Malmö works with that revolve around skateboarding. And it's also a website that communicates about skateboarding in Malmö. And the city's relationship with the skaters is we try to be tolerant. We try to listen to the initiatives that the skaters come up with themselves, and not just shut down, but to sort of if someone's doing something, we think of it as an asset, and that we should sort of be tolerant and think again before we stop any initiatives that are coming from the skate scene. We also try to support different initiatives that do come from the skate scene. So we try to not just drive our own agenda, but listen to the people that know about skating and support them in doing what they do best. And we also try to be one step ahead. We try to look at where skateboarding is going, where the people that are involved in skateboarding want to see it go, and think about how we as a city can be part of that progression, because that in turn reflects back on the city as being a leader for skateboarding and a continual destination for skateboarding. Right, so what's all this fuss about Malmö? Today, you could say that Malmö is a global destination for skateboarding. It's probably not an exaggeration. We have, people speak of Malmö as the skateboarding capital of Europe. We have a series of skate parks. Stapelbäddsparken, the first outdoor concrete park, built in 2005. We have Svanborg skate park, finished in 2008. We have Oxie, a smaller skate park, and there's about 5 other skate parks outside of our city borders, but that are built in collaboration with other cities and Bryggeriet. So we have a strong presence of skate parks in the area. There's also the indoor park for the winter, which is where the skateboard organization have their offices, and it's also a high school. So Bryggeriet started a high school rather than having a school start a skate course. They had the skaters started a high school, and it's a full normal high school. The estetiska programmet, the arts program. You can choose different directions: skate, photography, film, and art. And yeah, it functions like any normal school, except that during your lunch break you can go skate. Yeah, but skateboarding is more than just skate parks, which is why we're here today. So in Malmö, we've also worked with introducing skate-friendly architecture in the streetscape. And this is actually from the webpage Skate Malmö, where we have a map where you can find some of the more established spots. If you're a tourist, you can go and just add these to your phone or whatever and find your way around. So Konsthallstorget, known as Svampen or the Mushroom, was a new square that was kind of a big concrete space with not much going on, and it was built, and the Malmö residents were kind of upset because nothing happened there. And so we introduced some granite benches, which were designed to sustain the wear of skateboarding without necessarily damaging the aesthetic impact. And we put those into a section of the square where there was a lot of space to negotiate between pedestrians and skateboarders. And now it's Sweden's probably most recognized street spots. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's got its own Twitter account. So that's got to count for something, I suppose. Värnhemstorget, was a classic skate spot in Malmö. It was built in 1998. And as you can see, it had some stairs and reasonably good flat ground. But it's like, it's at a central bus terminal where a lot of connecting buses are. So people don't really stay in the space. And a lot of the time, it's a dead square. And the people that it's close to Systembolaget. So it was kind of, had a lot of antisocial behavior and needed to become active again because the skaters had stopped coming. So we introduced these granite blocks, and as you can see, we also, in order to sort of breathe life into the space, we hosted an event there called Back to Värnhem, which has since grown to become Skate Malmö Street, which is a 3-day event that takes place on different street spots in Malmö. And is there to showcase that skateboarding belongs in the city, not just skate parks. Yeah, and this is a page from Skate Malmö, the website. Here you can go and you can find information about the events that we do, when they happen, where to stay, where to go eat, where the good bars are, but also where the good skate spots are. And videos, documentaries and so on that are made about Malmö, we try to link to them from here. So it's essentially a communication platform for Malmö skateboarding. But Malmö hasn't always been this way. Malmö has a history of people's attitudes not being that positive to skateboarding. And up until the mid-90s, you'd see these signs everywhere. And if you think about the weather, that's not why Malmö is a skateboard destination today. It's always windy. We're in Sweden, for Christ's sake. So we get what we get. But that's not why. And it's not Barcelona. It's not the best. It's not a city with marble streets and stone everywhere. It's cobblestones. And the reason I've chosen this image is actually, this looks like a normal street to most people, but to skaters, it's a familiar kind of problem with the street, which is these are the standard kind of slabs that you see on every sidewalk in Sweden. And the way they're cut is that they have about a centimeter phasing, which means that it rattles like crazy and makes loads of noise, and it like really, vibrates in an uncomfortable way. And then you have tarmac, which is the default, layer for every sidewalk in Sweden, it seems. And you put that down and you leave it 2 years, and the brand new perfect tarmac is replaced by this, which is just, it wears down too quickly and it becomes too coarse and you can't really use it. So a problem with Swedish skate cities is that you don't skate around. You always cycle around to a spot because the streets aren't made for it. And if you do push around, it makes a lot of noise, which gets residents in the local areas upset, and you have a bad relationship with your fellow citizens. Right, that's right. Okay, so where did all this start? I'll try to go through this quickly. In Malmö, there was a garage underneath the local shopping center that had perfect ground, and it was heated, which meant that in the winter, all the skaters of southern Sweden would come to this garage after the shops closed at 7 and skate till 9 when the garage closed. And because of that, they had this central meeting spot where they could sort of build a network and exchange ideas and so on. Someone came up with the idea to try and start a club. And all of a sudden, because there were so many skaters there, that club was one of the bigger sort of new youth clubs in Malmö. And that awoke the attention from the people within fritidsförvaltning and the sort of recreational, what do you call it? Yeah, sports department of the city. And some driven kind of reasonably socialist council workers saw that this is a group of young guys predominantly that haven't been on our map before. We need to help them learn how to start an organization, learn how to get funding, learn how to develop. And they did. And they got up to the right, you see the first mini ramp they got to build in an old classroom. And they built that themselves, and they were responsible in taking care of that space. They got more members, which led to the city finally supporting them with the old brewery facilities, which you see at the bottom left and then bottom right, which was at the time of its opening Europe's biggest indoor skate park. And that's been the home of the skate scene ever since. It's got 2 street courses, vert ramp, 2 bowls. It's a massive space, like I said, 3,000 to 4,000 members, and all the offices of the old brewery upstairs are now classrooms, film studios, photography studios, and so on. And Bryggeriet learned to be a partner to the city, to not just deliver on what you've been promised, but to try and come up with the next suggestion. And that led to Stapelbäddsparken, which was a big skate park finished in 2005, which was an initiative from the local skaters. And that was built with some of the best skate park builders from around the world that came to Malmö, and they taught the local skaters how to build with concrete, which then led to Malmö now having 3 different companies working, 3 or 4 different companies working with skate parks. Some, Pivotuck is one, Concretures is one, Bryggeriet Skate Parks is one. So this has given rise to a new kind of business opportunity for Malmö as well. When Stapelbäddsparken was built, the European Cup in park skating, which is skating in these transitioned kind of bowl areas, that had been held in Marseille for the past 8 years or so. And Quicksilver, who was the main sponsor behind this competition, they ran into trouble with the Marseille Council because they had some issues with corruption, and the skaters had been in the same park every year. They were getting bored of it and needed a change. And the skaters in Malmö sort of got in touch with them and said, hey, we have a massive new skate park in concrete like no one's seen for the past decade. What about moving the contest here? And so Quicksilver came to the council, the city of Malmö, and said, hey, we're interested in doing the European Cup here. Are you interested? And this is where my role kind of was invented. My predecessor had just started working for the events department in Malmö. And he essentially said, oh, well, yeah, I can work with that, And so for 3 years, they had the European Cup in Malmö. And during that time, the skaters learned how to host big events. We essentially learned how to do global competitions. So when Quicksilver were hit hard by the recession and pulled out, Malmö had already set aside a budget for the next big skateboarding event. And the skaters knew what to do with it. They could hire their own judges, do their own marketing, and the city knew how to get the grandstands and the permits and how skateboarding works, how you work with security, all these different issues. So all of a sudden, the expertise that came from outside was strong in Malmö. And so for the next decade, Malmö did its own Grand Slam skate event called Ultra Bowl. Which then led to, when it was time for Vans to launch their global series, the World Championship Tour, which is called Park Series, Vans Park Series. The obvious choice for them to work in Europe, or for, Europe, Middle East, and Asia, which is our region, or Africa, sorry. They came to Malmö, because they know that we can help them do skate events. So last year, 2016, Vans donated a new skate park to Malmö, which they knew they could hire the local skate park construction company to build. They donated the skate park to the city, and they had the World Championship final for this kind of skateboarding, for that terrain, in Malmö, which is about as big as you can get. And it's interesting because Søren's here from Copenhagen, and they've had a similar story with on the street side. So right across the bridge, 2 cities have had the kind of biggest competitions for park and the biggest competition for street. And it's all within one area with 2 cities working progressively with skateboarding. But the thing is, having the big events and skating's interesting because it's the coolest guy isn't necessarily the best guy, and the best guy isn't the coolest guy, and the person who is cool is not cool for long because everyone else thinks they're cool, and the most high valued sponsored person isn't necessarily the best, or it's you know, it has to do with your preferences and who's who and who you like. It's like the music industry. Like, what's the best band? You can't say. It's about so much more than just the writing. And one of the things that the Malmö skaters that have really put Malmö on the map is what the skaters have done themselves outside of the collaboration with the city. And that's the DIY scene. Do it yourself. If you don't have it, build it. When the skaters learn how to pour concrete when building Stapelbäddsparken, and even before, they found abandoned spaces in Malmö that weren't being used, and they started making their own skate parks, getting a few, you know, everyone putting 100 crowns in, getting some concrete together, digging and pouring, and when it's dry, skate it, and then you do the same next week. And if you do that for a while, all of a sudden you develop these new spaces. And not only did they build these spaces, they also documented it. They made films, they broadcast it in skate media around the world. And this, at a time when skateboarding had been focused at the US, and primarily Southern California for decades. This came like a breath of fresh air to everyone else in Europe or all around the world that don't have 360 days of sunshine and perfect, you know, schoolyards and whatever to skate. This was something that they could relate to. And Malmö became kind of known as a signifier for this scene. Now, skaters growing up, they learn how to pour concrete. It's like part of what you do as a skater. But for my generation, that wasn't as obvious. So Malmö has been part of that story. We're not the only ones, but I'd say, Malmö have been part of putting that on the map again. And the people doing this also use that marketing that they created to start new businesses. And that's Polar Skateboards for one, which have, it's one of the main skateboard hardware brands that you can see being sold all around the world today. And this is what Justin Regan is saying, who's the senior global brand manager for Vans, about the whole Malmö package. What you guys are doing in Malmö is so unique, so far ahead of everywhere else. You're integrating skating in the city, hosting world-class events, building parks, producing top-level riders. You even have a skate school. We want to open the eyes of the world to how skateboarding can work within any city. That's why we can't think of a better place than Malmö to have the World Championship final. That's obviously amazing to hear. And it's kind of a testament to that this project is working. Brag, brag. Right, so the question then that we're here to answer, I suppose. This all looks well and fine. It looks like the city has invested a lot in skating, it's gotten a lot back. But is it really such a good idea? Isn't there another side to it? What's the point? Isn't this what skaters look like? You know, isn't this just a bunch of guys, you know, being, you know, whatever he's representing. Do skaters look like this, or do they look like this? Isn't that nice?
I know those people.
Oh yeah, yeah. And they loved posing for this photo, didn't they? It's so natural. Now, there's a lot of preconceptions about skateboarding that probably come from in the early 90s, skating, graffiti, and hip-hop was kind of clustered to be this like new street activity stuff, which has then just been recycled in media and films over and over, which hasn't done very much to explain what skateboarding is about. So let's try and do a better job than just like thinking isn't that graffiti and stuff, because it's not really. Skateboarding provides a broad social platform with a rich cultural capital and ties to an active lifestyle, or ties an active lifestyle to other interests. What does that mean? It means that if you're interested in skateboarding, a lot of the time you're interested in other things as well, because it's a subculture. It's not about just the tricks you do and training and being the best. It's about the clothes you wear. It's about the music you listen to, and then it's about how you express yourself. And if you want to express yourself, you need to document it. So you need to take photos, you need to shoot film, and you need to like spread that and be seen around the world. And you can have your group of friends that have a certain style, and they communicate that. And then there's another group, and they communicate their style, and you appreciate that together. So this is Martin Ottosson. He does a clothing company called Post Hats and Details, and here he is. I think he's a self-taught filmer, editor, photographer, web person, podcast host, everything. He's currently doing a green screen kind of shoot for an invisible man skating around the city. And yeah, so skaters don't just skate. They're interested in stuff and they want to do more things. And there's no age barriers or demography barriers in skateboarding because you do it yourself, but together with other people. You can choose your own mode of engagement. You arrive at a skate spot, there's other people there, and as you get less and less shy and more comfortable, you can start hanging out with them. And so skaters socialize across genders, demographics, and age groups. And these places that you introduce, not just skate parks, but the local skate spot, like Esperantoplatsen, when it was an active skate spot, they function as these places where if you don't have the social resources to have friends that you need to call up or a tight-knit group, if you're kind of more loose, you can come to these places and meet people, and you can skate. And if you're a good skater, maybe you're not that socially trained, but if people see that you skate, you have something to talk about. And then you can gradually overcome these otherwise existing social barriers. You don't get that, I mean, if you join football or play football, the classic example, you have to join the team and then you get thrown into the changing room. And then you're confronted by that jargon. And if you think that's too much, you quit. With skating, you choose how you approach it, and you can take it step by step. And that's what these kind of spontaneous activities have that other activities don't. And for the people that get turned away from those organized activities, this can be a crucial thing. It can be what keeps them in a socially functioning net, I suppose. So we call skateboarding a spontaneous activity because you do it when you choose to. And we call it a self-organized activity, which means that you do it yourself, but at a skate spot, there's really quite complicated organization. If you read a skate park, and you're about to drop in, every skater reads the path, the movement of everyone else in that space. And they know to not try the same trick as someone else is doing, because if you do it first, they'll feel bad, and that's a rule, that's not okay. Because you don't, that's like being a douchebag, essentially. There's all these, there's a massive web of organization. So it's self-organized. It looks chaotic, but that's just because you don't understand it. And it does appeal to the individualistic young people that don't like to, be caught between a coach telling them what to do and rules of the game, that want to break out and do their own thing. So it does appeal to those people. But those are also the people that need to be caught in society, because we know what happens if they don't have anything to do and where they turn to otherwise. And they, from a socio-economical perspective, they can become very, very expensive unless we do things to catch them before it's too late, I suppose. Thank God, female skateboarding is growing rapidly. It's been amazingly male-dominated for a long time. And I think skateboarding overall is growing up. It's been controlled by male teenagers and then male 20-somethings, and now people in control in the industry are getting older. And also, I think people are more open to female skating, and there's been strong efforts from female skaters around the world to become part of the skating world. And I think in Malmö we work with this very hard, because it's like in order to exist you have to be seen, and if you don't show that there are female skaters, then people are going to continue thinking it's a male-dominated sport. And if you don't give women the particular space to skate without the kind of intense testosterone levels that can come into a session when you just open it up for everybody, then as a sort of introduction to skateboarding, creating those kind of separate female times at the skate park have generated a lot of results. And in Malmö, we've seen that from having about 2 skaters, maybe 10 years ago, we have, is it like 300 female skaters? And there's a strong female skate organization that's doing a great job of showing that skateboarding is not just for guys. And if you think about it, what skateboarding has is a chance to, it's an open social activity. You can be cool without being sexualized. You can, you know, you can be creative as valued as high. You know, it's not about jumping the highest. It's about doing tricks with style and communicating who you are. So again, the divisions that come with other sports don't necessarily have to come with skateboarding, and that's true for the gender barrier as well. And as we see more women starting to skate, I'm convinced that we're going to see a breakdown of the classic understanding of men and women in relation to skateboarding, but perhaps also to other activities. And I think that's really interesting. So we're trying to make that happen as quickly as possible. Skateboarding is growing fast, and it's already established with the next generation. I don't know. Owning a skateboard today is not that different from owning a basketball. People have a scooter, they'll have a basketball, football, maybe a tennis racket, probably less tennis these days. But they'll also have a skateboard and maybe inlines or whatever. All these different activities are becoming more normal. I mean, to the next generation, skateboarding is as common as basketball perhaps was 50 years ago. Right. So, if it's a sport, shouldn't they stick to the park? And I guess that's the part of the theme of what we're talking about today. Is everyone following? Am I going too fast? Do you need to breathe? Your brains are full? You're okay? Good.
5 minutes, Gustav.
5 minutes, okay. Yeah, sweet. So, street skating, which is different from park skating, that's where you take the urban environment and you interpret it through the tricks you can do, and it's different from going to a skate park because it's about doing a journey through the city. It's like more like an urban hike, you could say. You're part of the producing and consuming the city life. You're part of the city. You're not just at a training ground. And because of that, spaces that lack activity but are good for skating, if you promote skate functionality in them, they can activate those spaces. And people feel safe where there's activity, especially if it's done by young people. So problematic, like Värnhemstorget, where there's like, antisocial behavior, when we see skateboarding there, that type of activity moves somewhere else. And this is a crucial thing to understand. The problems that arise from skateboarding, usually they can be prevented with better design. The problems with skateboarding are usually noise, damage, people perceive it as intentional damage, and conflict with pedestrians. If you have better surfaces at a place where the noise won't disturb anyone, then the problem of noise is gone. The wear, if you have a wooden bench that's perfect to skate, and people skate it, it's going to chip and it's going to be damaged. That's a really good bench out of a really bad material. So if you change the material, then you don't have that problem anymore, because stone or metal can sustain the wear of skateboarding. It's not a problem anymore. And if you have people feeling threatened by the presence of skaters in a small space with good benches or stairs or whatever, that conflict goes away if you put better skate stuff at an open space where people can negotiate. Skaters don't want to run into pedestrians. They want to skate their object, and they'll pause when someone's walking by. And as you have more skating in the city, people learn how these negotiations take place. I think we've had one complaint in 5 years in all our street spots in Malmö, and that was from someone, something about dogs, I think. Anyways, so Skateboarders want to skate. They don't want to cause damage. Skaters don't go out to be like smash stuff. They go out and skate something and there's wear as a result. And that's very different. Design better and those problems go away. And something to think about is how many hours of skating does it take to wear down a granite ledge to the point where it needs to be replaced? How long have the Plaskis ledges been in the band? Yeah.
Janos is from 97, been skated every day since.
Since 97, been skated every day, and it doesn't need replacement yet. And if you have a block like this that you can turn around 4 times, that's hundreds and hundreds or thousands and thousands of physically active hours for young people. And how do you translate that to the health value for your citizens? It's amazingly cost effective when you think about it. And these skate spots are also some of the most used in Malmö overall in terms of all our sports facilities. I mean, compare it to any football field and the skate spot just shut them down like 10 times over. Right, okay, how do you get it right? Crucial thing with all this, talk to the skaters. They know what's up, and help them start an organization. And this is directed at the people that work for the city of Gothenburg or any other city. Yeah, okay, I'll shut this down. But you need to talk to the skaters. Help them learn how to be a better organization. Don't ever, ever buy a skate park from a brochure. You're going to get into that later on. Skate stoppers, that's essentially saying, oh, we did something really good for skating, and then we wanted to tell the skaters that, haha, you're not welcome here. That's just an insult, and it's bad design. It shows that you did not know what you were doing. You essentially made something really good, and then you had to stop yourself. And now it's negative design. You're sending a message that you're not part of our society. You're not welcome here. Go somewhere else. Be somewhere, be someone else. And is that the relationship you want with your young people? I don't know. That's up to you, I suppose. Skate parks are great for this park terrain discipline of skating. To have these kind of big events and to have the people that skate in bowls. Great for that. You need some of those in every city. But then you also have the cluster effect of adding street spots, because skaters don't just want to skate the parks, they want to be part of the city. So we have the DIY spots in Malmö, which we've actually incorporated to be skate spots now. They're allowed to do them. They did them without permission before, but now it's okay. And then we have the temporary installations, which you're seeing outside now, where you can take a space, try out, put these kind of obstacles in and test if it works as a proof of concept, and then take them out and then perhaps think about doing something more permanent. And yeah, I've gone through the skate spots before. And so our strategy is quite simple. We try to create spaces. We try to, once the spaces are there, we activate them with events to show everybody, hey, this is a skate space. It's like throwing a rock into the pond. But then, once the event goes away, you need to have someone there to catch the rims on the water, to make sure that that investment gets a return. And that's where the skate organizations can come in, host skate schools, can make sure that people's interest is manifested. And these to the right, this is the building process of the Kroksbäck skate park where the World Championship was held. And those kids on the right are the local residents who had never been in touch with skating before. And they had skate schools at the Kroksbäck Park, and then they took them to Bryggeriet to show them when winter comes, you can find your way here. You can be part of the skate family. And it's amazing because there's so many girls, because when the World Championship final was there were, to all those kids, it's like, okay, so it's girls and guys, and they're pretty good, and this is how you do it. And their standard is the top level of the world. So there was this 6-year-olds dropping in on these, 4-meter high walls, like, oh, second week, like nothing. And the girl there, Brighton Zoyner, she won the park series, and she was 12. And the people that started skating in Malmö now, they were 8, and the Olympics is in 4 years, so, we'll see how it goes. And here's the, let the skaters communicate. And here's a little ad we did to sort of give you some visual of the different places also in motion. I'll leave you with that. Thank you.